All right, let's just get right into it. I want you to picture someone. We all know this person. Maybe you went to high school with them. Maybe they're in your office right now. They are just brilliant, incredibly talented. By every measure, this person should be an absolute rock star. But they're not. They're stuck or broke, just constantly spinning their wheels.
And at the same time, you look over at somebody else, someone with maybe half the raw talent, not nearly as clever, and they are absolutely crushing it. I mean, they're running a huge business, buying the dream house, the whole thing. It's this bizarre paradox, and honestly, it can be pretty frustrating to watch.
It just feels wrong, doesn't it? It feels completely unfair, like there's got to be some kind of glitch in the system. I mean, if success is all about talent, then why does reality so often just laugh in the face of that logic?
But what if it's not a glitch? What if it's actually a feature? See, the sources we're digging into today argue that the most successful people aren't luckier, and they aren't even necessarily more talented. It's simpler and way more profound than that. They are just running a completely different operating system inside their head.
And that brings us to the absolute core of this idea, mindset. The real work, the work that leads to massive success, isn't external. It's not about working more hours or sending more emails. It's about the deep and, yeah, sometimes really uncomfortable internal work of changing how you think.
I love this quote from the hit music producer Rico Love. He flat out says he knows people who are 10 times more talented than he is, but they fail because they just don't work as hard. But we have to be really, really clear on what he means by hard work. He's not talking about digging ditches for 12 hours. The hard work he's talking about is mindset maintenance. It's that constant daily grind of building the internal scaffolding, the discipline, the resilience, the focus that lets you keep going when everything inside you wants to quit. And this leads to a pretty wild idea. Your talent can actually be a trap. Think about it. If everything has always been easy for you, you've never had to build that mental muscle, that toughness for when things get hard. So the first time you hit a real wall, a real challenge, you just crumble.
So to understand how this all works, we've got to look under the hood at the real engine room of your brain, your subconscious mind. This is the co-pilot that is flying your plane 24/7, whether you realize it or not.
Here's a great way to think about it. Your conscious willpower, that's like a battery. You wake up with it at 100%, but after a long day of making decisions, by 7 p.m., that battery is dead. Your subconscious, though, that's plugged directly into the wall. It never gets tired. It is always on.
And that constant power makes it a serious double-edged sword, because if its programming, its core pattern, is set to something like, I'm not good enough or I always mess things up, it will override your best intentions every single time. It becomes your own personal self-sabotage machine, working against you around the clock. Okay, so how on earth do you reprogram this powerful co-pilot? Well, the strategy starts with passion, but not the way we've been taught. We're always told to find your passion, right? Like it's hiding under a rock. This whole framework says that's wrong. You don't find it, you build it. It's something called the positivity loop. Instead of waiting for lightning to strike, you just pick a direction, any direction, and you focus on it with real intensity. As you get deeply engaged, as you solve little problems and see a tiny bit of progress, your brain gives you a little reward. Passion isn't the cause, it's the effect. Passion follows focus. You literally have the power to create it yourself. And this is so important because you have to align your work with this passion you're building. Look at this from a pure strategy standpoint. If you hate your job, you're going to give just enough effort not to get fired, right? Let's call that 100%. But you are competing against someone who loves their work so much it feels like a video game. They're thinking about it in the shower, they're bringing 150% energy because it actually feeds them. Who wins that fight? Every time. It's not even a fair contest. Now let's talk about another piece of the internal puzzle, your self-worth. The best way to think about it is like a container, like a bucket. If you have a deep down belief that you don't really deserve wealth, your container is small. So even if a bunch of money comes in, it'll just spill right over the sides. This is exactly why so many lottery winners go broke. Their subconscious literally panics and finds a way to get rid of the money to get back to what feels normal. So even if you're doing all this work, you're building passion, you're expanding your self-worth, there are two major wealth blockers that can completely derail you. Think of them as the two biggest leaks in your energy tank, envy and blame. Let's start with envy. Okay, imagine you have 100 units of mental energy every day. If you spend 20 of those units doom scrolling on social media, fuming over someone else's vacation or promotion, you've just paid a 20% tax on your own potential. And what did you get in return? Absolutely nothing.
It comes down to this. Envy is passive. Creation is active. You physically cannot be in both of those modes at the same time. You're either watching the game from the stands or you're on the field playing. According to this mindset, the truly wealthy are just way too busy building their own thing to even notice what their neighbor is doing.
And finally, we get to what is probably the toughest pill to swallow in this whole thing: radical responsibility. Now, this does not mean blaming yourself for things you can't control, like a recession or a global pandemic. It means taking 100% total ownership of your response to those things.
And here's why that is so important. Blaming the economy or your boss or anything else makes you a victim. And what do victims do? They wait. They're paralyzed, hoping someone rescues them. But taking responsibility makes you mobile. The word responsible literally means able to respond. You shift your entire mindset from "this happened to me" to "this happened, now what's my next move?" So when you put it all together, you can see this is a seriously demanding way to live. It's asking you to audit your deepest beliefs, to build your own passion, to grow your sense of deservingness, to completely kill envy, and to own every single outcome in your life. This isn't some magic trick. It is incredibly heavy lifting.
Which brings us right back to where we started. If talent is just the starting line, if it's maybe 10% of the whole equation, then you have to look at the other 90%. So the question I want to leave you with is this: where are you leaking energy? Are you paying that jealousy tax every day? Are you stuck in place because you're blaming someone else? Because being smart, that just gets you a ticket to the race. It's your mindset that determines whether you'll ever actually cross the finish line.